Good evening, all.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay. So, shall we start? Yes. Hope the PPT is visible. Everyone can see.
It's visible.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes, good.
So, yeah. This session's topic, which we are going to discuss about, is the the operational management strategies, the plan and the strategies usually the companies use or follow to manage their overall operations. So when I say operations, it doesn't confine only to manufacturing operations or production operations or assembly line operations. So operations in the sense the overall operations of the company. You can say the managerial operations or no, like whatever is the core operating, the plan, core operating the of the work plan of the company. No, so everything no comes under this topic. So why there is a need for no like managing these operations? Now we already know. Take any organization, whether no like it's an established organization or a new startup or whatsoever. So sometimes the structure of the organization is no like evident. Everyone can know like see it. Everyone can experience it. Most of the cases, no, it would be the hierarchical organization. Hierarchical in the sense there would be a top management. They take care of no like all the strategic plans and everything. Then comes the managerial level of the organization, so which consists of all the departmental heads, the managerial heads of the organization. So they manage the overall operations and they act as an intermediaries between the top level and the operational level. So then comes the operational level, who carries out the level of the employees or the workers who carries out the day-to-day operational tasks. So when it comes to strategic operational effectiveness, it doesn't mean that only the top management, no, like they involve or no, like they come up with no, like the guidelines or they come up with plans, no, uh, for which no, like the whole organization should know, like follow or no, like comply with. So it is a collaboration between no all three levels of the organization. Even though if it is a startup, even though if the organization follows a hybrid structure or a network structure. So when it comes to decision making, it would always be the persons or the like the individuals who are in the top position of the organization. So they take the final decision, right? And everyone follows it, everyone complies to it. So strategic operational effectiveness is all about no the coordination, the collaboration, the communication, the sharing of resources, everything no like between the all the levels of the organization, so that no there is a continuous improvement in the process. So in olden days, no, like back, say, no, like before this globalization happened, or before the the industrial revolution, no, like it all happened. So what happened? Like strict hierarchy was followed, right? And the heads of the organization, the owners of the companies, no, they were not worried about the the upliftment of the or the like the upskillment or the the environmental effectiveness no, which they provide for their uh, workers in the sense no the operational level workers. But now the scenario is different. The operational level workers, no, the employees or the workers or laborers, so they are contributing to the profit of the organization directly. So that's why they are giving much importance, more importance than the managerial level people. So let's see, let's start with let us start this session with like what is operations management? What do we call as operations generally? And why to manage? What are all the techniques, strategies, like the organizations nowadays they follow to manage the overall operations, to cut down the cost, to cut down the wastages. So what strategies they follow? So let's start with like what is operations management? So it is a study and a practice of managing the core processes that produce a company's goods and services. So whatever is the product, whatever the product is, say for example, take hospitals. The core product is the service, the medical services, which is given to the patients, given to the the customers actually. So that is the like the healthcare industry's core product or the core service. Take the media industry. So entertainment is the core product, right? Entertainment is the core product or service they provide. Take the retail industry. So sales, sales, marketing, the supply chain is the core product and service, right? Distribution of the products and services, so that is the core product given by these retail industry, retail companies. So any company you take, so that would be a core process, happening. So through that core process, their core product or the core service will be, delivered to their customers. So it focuses on efficiently and effectively transforming inputs like materials, labor, and equipment into outputs that meet the customer's needs. So if you take the systematic approach, it involves the operations management. It involves a systematic approach to planning, organizing, controlling the production and delivery of goods and services. Take any industry for that matter, even if it is an IT industry. So the solution, the software or the solution or whatever, or the systems. So that is the core product, like that is the production, that is the product they produce, they manufacture, or like they do it, they develop and like deliver the service to their clients, to their customers. And the goal is to maximize the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization's operations to meet the customer demands. So what it requires is the integration of various functions like supply chain, quality control, inventory management, and human resources. In olden days, all these departments were functioning independently. So the human resources department take care of only the human resource related activities, managing the human resources. And the inventory, department took care only of, maintaining the inventory, procuring the inventory and distributing the inventory whenever it is required in the by the manufacturing team. The quality control department focused only on the quality, maintaining the quality, okay, before pre-production or post-production or at the time of the production. So they were no keen into maintaining the quality. So there was no connection between these departments or these different operations, and there was no collaboration. Collaboration in the sense, people didn't think there was a need for collaboration, between these departments. But now, because of integration of technology and because of the change in the demand, the high change in the demand, from the market, from the industry. So the companies, the organizations, now they have no other go. They have to integrate their overall operations, whether it's their HR department or their sales department or the finance department or the marketing team or the operations team. So whatever the department is, these people have to communicate with each other, share the resources through any of the technology. So it has become like a mandatory thing, activity happening in almost all the organizations, especially in the supply chain organizations. So till what extent, we can we can work out on this. So operations management, it covers the entire production life cycle. That is from the product design till the delivery, the last mile delivery. And the key functions, it include managing the capacity in the sense, the infrastructure. Okay, so the place where the operations happens, the location where the operations happens. So managing the capacity, managing the inventory, maintaining quality, supply chain, and improving the process and project management. And when it comes to cross-functional, it integrates with other business functions as well, like marketing, finance, human resources, operations, procurement, everything, distribution, transportation, everything. So if there is a possibility of integrating this with the other departments as well. So in manufacturing, you can know like with the by managing the operations, overall operations, you can optimize the production process, optimize the inventory, make use of the inventory to the maximum extent, and overall manage the supply chain. And when it comes to service sector, managing the operations, it improves the service delivery, capacity planning, and the customer service. Healthcare, so it enhances the patient flow, resource allocation and operational efficiency, and reduces the downtime or reduces the waiting time like of patients in the hospital. And when it comes to logistics, the transportation thing, so it can streamline the transportation, streamline the warehousing operations and the other distribution networks. So what is the benefit? What is the benefit for the companies, if they could take control of the overall operations, if they could manage their overall operations? So it helps in cost reduction, optimizing processes to reduce operational cost and improve the profitability. It gives a competitive advantage, to the company, and it can improve the quality, because you have control of everything. You have control of your manpower, you have control of your the materials, you have control of the machines, you have control of the time, you have control of other resources. So you have control of everything, you can manage everything because everything is planned in advance. Okay, so there would be an improvement in quality. The company can get a competitive advantage in the market, and it can reduce the cost, and with that it can make give more, offer more benefits to its employees, to its manpower. And not only that, it can attract many stakeholders into the organization, whether it could be customers or it could be potential investors or whomsoever, or the suppliers, whomsoever, it could attract more people into the organization. Of course, there are few challenges and limitations. You cannot maintain or manage the overall operations in any organization. Sometimes it could be very complex, especially if the capacity, if the uh, location is it's in multiple locations. If the organization is in multiple locations, it's very difficult to manage the overall operations due to many reasons. For example, time constraint will be there, communication barriers will be there. So because of many reasons, maintaining operations or managing the overall operations is difficult when it comes to multiple locations of the company. And sometimes the company may have many product lines, different product lines. In those cases also it's difficult to manage the overall operations. You can't take control of each and every operation because more product lines are there. In those cases, what few companies will do is they go for divestitures. That is they make few of their product lines into a different brand, a co-brand. They go with co-branding, and they give out the product, because if you go for co-branding or go for divestiture, you can have a separate management team for that. Okay, so that's what the companies do. Uncertainty. You know very well, nowadays the market is very volatile, highly demanding, changing, minute to minute, second to second, and it's very difficult to predict the market, in the nearby future. So dealing with the unpredictable demand, supply chain depression, disruptions, and technological changes, we don't know what is going to uh, come in the nearby future. now we know AI, robotics, no, like it's just big data. So all this is happening right now, IoT, Internet of Things. So the trend now is no, like these technologies, but we don't know what is going to no happen in another 1 or 2 years, what new technology is going to come. So adapting to know like those technologies immediately and know like making your employees, the organization to adapt to those technologies, training them on that, like it's very difficult, no? So because of this uncertainty and resource constraints is there. So capital, labor, equipment, and capacity, the infrastructure. There are many no limitations, constraints there, no, which has to be no like considered. And change management, implementing the improvements, process improvements to the new technologies effectively. Not everyone would be like easily adapting to the changes. Not every organization in the industry would be easily adapting. Even if the organizations adapt, not every employee in those organizations will be immediately adapting to the changes. So all these are the challenges and no limitations, no, uh, of no like managing the overall operations. So if the product line is not like a single unit, or no, if it is a unit product line, or no like maximum 2 or 3 product lines, or no like the company can manage. If it is no like a single brand, it can manage. If there is no like just one location, single location, the company can manage. But anything no which goes more than this, no, it's very difficult to manage. So also, what are the roles and responsibilities of the operations manager? So you might have heard about no like operations head, operations manager. So what do they do? First thing is no like they will be part of the team, no, who no like um, comes out with all the strategies and the plans. That is no, they will be closely in touch with the top management, because no, they should be involved, when these strategies and no strategies and plans are being laid out, because they know the overall operations. They will be having no like an overall operations. They will be having a good understanding about it. So these operations managers, like will be part of the top management. They will be closely in touch with the top management, because for laying out all the strategies and plans, these persons, operations managers, has to be involved. So what do they do? Aligning operations with the overall business strategy. And then the process optimization. So optimizing everything, like not only allocating the resources, but like utilizing the resources to the maximum level, to the optimum level, so that no wastages is happening, and by thereby maintaining the quality, and thereby like cutting down the cost of the overall operations, and managing the resources, allocating and maintaining human, material, and equipment resources. And more than that, they should be having an exceptional communication skill, negotiation skill, forecasting skill, financial knowledge. Should be having an overall like a good financial knowledge. They should be like having a very good like understanding about the market, and they should be like very good decision makers, and they should always be like focusing on what do you say, like always they should be having more than one plans, having a plan B as well, because if something goes wrong, immediately the optional plan, that should take into effect. So these are the qualities which is required from an operations manager. And once they have been like taken into the company, they would be introduced to the the overall company affairs. Okay, for example, like if you have been like taken as a HR, say HR executive, or a junior HR executive, or a senior HR executive, or a manager whatsoever. So mostly you will be dealing with the manpower only. Like you don't worry about like how the other operations are going on, how the production is going on, or like how much is being produced on a daily basis, or if there is a problem in the like with the vendors or with the suppliers, like how to rectify the problem, how to give solutions. The HR department is not concerned about that. But that doesn't apply to operations managers. So they would be involved. They would be getting to know about each and every operations happening in the organization. So they have a wider responsibility because their role is like something very much bigger, and they are close to the top management as well because they take part in laying out the strategies and plans. So, what is going to be the trend and future of this, no, this field of study, the operations management? Digitization has already happened because, no, with the help of this data-driven decision making and data science and data analysis. So, it has become so easy to manage the big data. So how much ever the data size is, it doesn't matter now at all. Initially, it was difficult to manage it because there was not enough, space, or there was not enough, uh, the required, the space for maintaining such a big data. So say, imagine 10,000 customers for a brand, or more than 1 lakh customers for a brand. So the company has to maintain almost all the important information about each and every customer. So say the customer's name, the location, what age group the customer belongs to, and the income level, the social status, their likes, their dislikes, their spending pattern, what type of products they are interested in, how frequently they purchase, where are they located, and their family size. So all this information, how do they make the payment, how much they have made the payment as of now, like how much is there the value of a customer, like the total purchasing value of the customer. So all this information about each and every customer has to be maintained by the organization. So imagine how much data is being generated or every day, so in the systems. So managing this much big data, now it has become very easy with the use of simple digitization techniques and simple software applications and all. And with the use of AI, it has become more simple. So digitization is going to be the no, it's already trend, and what's going to happen in the future with regards to digitization is increased use of automation will happen, and increased usage of AI, data analytics, will happen to improve the decision making. Sustainability, now every company, every industry is working on sustainability because now sustainability is not an option, it is a only choice. No, we have got to save the world. So greener operations and supply chains to reduce the environmental impact. And nowadays, the operations managers has to make sure they are complying with all the laws and all the guidelines, no, whatever it is, no, which is no forwarded by the the organizations, the government, the law, and everything. Then comes the flexibility. Before that, no, there was no flexibility at all because after during the time of the industrial revolution and after that, customization concept was not there. Everything was produced in mass to satisfy the immediate need of the customers. So that customization or craftsmanship, no, so it was not possible. And if a customer needs a customized product or a handcrafted product, they have to pay a huge money for that. But now the case is different with the help of the digitization, with the help of digitized machines and robotics or AI. Customization is it's not a luxury thing anymore. Okay, so even myself and you all know, like normal consumers like us, no, we can also afford that luxury thing because now flexibility has come. And because of that, agile manufacturing, agile is adapting, quickly adapting to the external changes. So agile manufacturing techniques have come, and customized production, it's a trend to meet changing customer needs. Then comes the globalization. Uh, Till in India, we know the history very well. Till 1991, globalization was not the concept. We were not like buying things mostly from the local producers. Okay, like if you want to buy no a foreign product, no, like you have to spend more money, you have to spend more time, you have the wait time was so long, and there were only limited editions happening. But now, because of globalization, every local market, no, like it has gone to the international market, and every international market has come to the local market. So, no, like I can buy any international product, no, like which I like, through online, like through the outlet stores or through any retail stores or through kiosk. So, like I can buy them, no, like if the company is ready to provide to me, the brands are ready to know, like connect with me, in every form possible. So if I'm comfortable buying online, they deliver the product through online. They display the product through online. If I am comfortable through, like offline, I would like to know, like check into a retail market. I want to try, like do a trial on the product and then like decide whether I have to buy it or not. So that is also possible because the company is ready to provide such, like facilities. So because of globalization, like the managing the operations, no, even across the border. That is, if the office location is no like somewhere outside the country, the corporate office or the no the head office is in no our homeland, and no other locations in other locations of the the world. No, we have no like branches, or we have no like different sub companies. So in those cases, no, managing the overall operations, no, it has become no like much simpler, much easier, no, because of the usage of technology, integration of technology. So operations management is management of systems or processes which creates goods or provide the services. So it's all about managing the systems and all about managing the processes. So it is concerned with converting materials and labor into goods and services, and as effectively as possible to maximize the profit of the organization. So where does it stand? So it can know, like you can manage the overall business processes, all the operations with related to the general business processes, that is the day-to-day operations, and the financial processes, the technological processes, the manufacturing, the HR, everything, marketing, sales, the PR services, everything, no, all overall operations, no, you can easily manage. Okay, so how it all started, the origin. The oldest management technique was, no, like you would have seen, no, the great monuments, and also how they, managed to build such massive monuments, no, in those days when technology was not available, when AI was not available, and we didn't have, no, like any missions to calculate, right? See the great pyramids, no, like see, no, like other great wonders of the world, the Colosseum. So see, no, like how this was, no, these massive structures, no, it was constructed. Everything, no, like it all started from, no, like idea initiation. So a single individual, a single person, no, like the idea, no, strike in that individual's mind that, no, like this type of monument has to be constructed. Then, no, like they, no, like form a team. Who are no who have the same alike interest, no, like same interest, because your team should also have a same spirit, no, the same fire, no, to reach the objective, whatever you have, no, like fixed it, no. So your team should also have the same, the Josh to complete the task, to achieve the goal, to achieve the objective. So a team will be formed, and they know, like slowly, know, like they again and again, know, like they work on the design. So once the complete blueprint is ready, then they know, like start sourcing the resources. So where are the resources? Okay, so they will know, like go for no procuring it. They will check the quality. They transport it, know, like to the location, and according to the plan they know like start constructing it. And sometimes there may be accidents, there may be some downtime because of no like extreme weather conditions, or because of no like other reasons. And sometimes no like the resources may go out of hand. So how did they manage no like the overall operations? And they would be always having a plan B, and they would be always having no like a substitute supplier for them no to supply the resources, and they manage like huge laborers, right? So imagine no like how many workers were involved no in the construction of pyramids, or how many workers were involved no in the construction of no like a monument such as no the Great China Wall or Taj Mahal or whatever it is. So managing no like all these no like manpower, paying them, and taking care of them, giving them no like better working conditions, providing them the resources, managing the hours of work. So everything no like everything comes under no operations, right? Managing the overall operation. So once finally the project is ready, it doesn't stop with that. There will be no like continuous improvement will be no like going on. So do you think China Wall was built in no like in a span of 2 or 3 years? No, it was no like going on. The construction was going on for years, that the maintenance was going on for years. So no, like same applies with those great monuments. And no, like imagine no, like the war, when war was happening, no, like how logistics were handled, transportation was handled, how no, like all those required materials, no, it was taken to the war zone. And once it has the war was over, so one team would have win, one team would have lost it. So how no like the debris, the deceased bodies, they were no like immediately cleared off from those war grounds. So everything was happening in massive, right? So those days there was no exact no like what do you say um uh, not the same strategy, or the not the same plan was followed by everyone. Say the Napoleon Bonaparte, the great emperor no, of France, Napoleon Bonaparte. So he followed a different strategy, like when it comes to war, and like like capturing the neighboring countries. Alexander the Great, like he was having different war strategy. And take big like of kings in those days. Who were exceptionally good in like winning over a war, or like capturing the nearby territory. So how did they all manage it? So they all know like they came with like the strategy thing, and then the planning thing, and then like planning of resources, and finally distribution of the resources, like everything. So this concept, it all started with in those days, and how it evolved now after the invention of like machines. So in late 1700s, machines were invented. So people came to know that machines can do like jobs continuously, like not like humans. They are capable of doing like continuous jobs, continuously they can produce, or continuously they can manufacture something. So when people came to know, the industrialists like then came to know, then mass production started. So at a point of time, the company couldn't handle these like mass units of products. So they would have procured the the required materials at a very cheaper price. So since they are getting it at a cheaper price, they would have procured more. Normally humans do that, right? So when we came to know a particular product or a component, like it's like we are getting at a cheaper price. So what do we do now? Like we purchase more than one unit, right? So companies do the same. So whenever there is a like a price drop in the cost of the raw materials, they purchase more, and they they store more in their warehouses and their like storage units. So to know like most of the time, like the company was able, they managed somehow, to convert those materials into finished products, and they try to sell it to the customers. But sometimes, due to unexpected situations, like there was no dead stock, obsolete stock was has still happening in the organization. So the organizations where the companies were wondering, like what to do with this dead stock, because there is no demand for these products anymore in the market. People are not liking it anymore. They are bored of these old products. So what to do with the remaining products, the leftover things, the dead stock, or whatever you call it, obsolete stock. So it was very difficult to manage, and like wastages were happening like like in a heap. Whether it comes to transportation, or whether it comes to the procurement zone, or whether it comes to the manufacturing zone, or the packing packaging zone, the wastes, because of like what do you say, um not enough training being given to the workers. They don't know how to handle it, how to know, like, manage the inventory. They don't know how to maintain it. So because of that, wastages were happening, no, in a huge amount. So to manage the waste, the companies were, like, wondering how to manage these wastes, how to cut down the wastes, and cost, like the money part. When it comes to money part, it was running like a, like a water out of the hand. So it was very difficult in those days, especially when the industrial revolution was happening. Managing the overall operations, it was very tough in those days. But then the top management and the, like, the operational level workers came to know, no, this should be streamlined. Somehow this mass production, it has to be streamlined so that wastages don't happen as expected, and the maximum utilization of resources will happen, and there would be a continuous improvement. So when a series of industrial inventions and mechanically powered machines have taken place, slowly the concept of managing the overall operations, came. And integration of departments in managing the overall operations also, it came. So what are the processes? We have three processes: input, transformation, that is in process, and the output. Input, in process, and the output. Okay. So what is the input factors? Manpower, and that is manpower in the sense the skill set of the manpower, the knowledge of the manpower, the, the learnings of the manpower. Okay. So, and the, the physical task, given by those manpower. So manpower, material. So these materials could be the raw material or a semi-finished component. So material was input. So there was machines to process. There should be machine, in case of, like, technology, the software is the machine, right? The software is the backbone. Software is the brain of, the whole thing, right? So there should be machine, to process these materials. And money, of course, money is involved, time is involved, information was involved. So all these, comes under input. So when it comes to in process, it is a transformation factors. So product design, and the process planning, production control, maintenance, all these comes under in process. And the output is finally the products or the service. And the products could be tangible or intangible. If it is a tangible product, it would be a solid product which you can know, like, like see in your, see by your eyes. But when it comes to intangible products, it was called as services. So of course, these things didn't change, like whichever the industry is, whatever industry it is, these input, in process, output didn't change. But there are few things, which were changing in the external, like environment. Inventory could change, according to the demand from the market. The type of inventory, it could change. The quality of the inventory, it could change. Then quantity is a variable, because the company cannot go with, no, the same number of products, almost on a, like, every year or every month or every day, they cannot go with the same number of products. So there should be some increase, by enhancing some. And then the cost is also a variable, because like, money keeps on changing, right? All over the world, it keeps on changing. Not only in India, or not only in, like, UAE, all over the world, the demand pattern, the cyclical, seasonal thing, like, everything is changing. So accordingly, the money also changes. The money value, the value given to the money, a particular money, currency, that also changes. So only these three are variables. Otherwise, other factors, it remains the same. Now let's see about the difference between strategy and plan. Of course, it has difference. Strategy is all about a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. So what to do is strategy. How to do is plan. So strategy is something external, that is an abstract, uh, so an overall idea about, like, what to achieve, or like, what should be the goal, what should be the, like, the final output. So that is all strategy about. And plan is, how to do it. What are the resources, like, available? What are the resources required? Where do we get the resources? How to obtain it? at what price, at what quality, at what quantity, when, where, how. So all these comes under the planning phase. The process of thinking and organizing the required activities to achieve a desired goal is plan. So plan is something internal and it is concrete. Concrete in the sense, no, like sometimes it could be, no, like altered, changed, extended. It could be done, but it's internal. So let's see, no other basis for comparison. Strategy is all the best plan opted for achieving the desired outcome. So strategy always focuses on the final outcome. That is what is to be achieved. Plan is no like everything about thinking in advance. For no like what actions, how much people is required, how it is to be processed, how much machines should be involved, and no like how many materials should be input and how much should be the output. So all these comes under planning. So planning is a roadmap for accomplishing any task, and strategic is a path chosen for achieving the objectives. And strategy is related to action, and planning is related to thinking. And the basis of strategy is all about no practical considerations, and planning is assumption. Planning, it could be no like could be in changed in the sense no like you could have no like several plans, but you cannot have several strategies. So objective of the company, no, it should be no like single objective, right? So that it could be easily like focused on, it could be easily followed. And the term, it depends upon the circumstances, and strategy is always a long term. That is the final objective of the company. And in the nature, planning is always preventive and strategy is competitive. And is it a part of a management function? Yes, planning is part of the management function, but strategy is a sub part of decision making. So when it comes to sequence, strategy comes first and planning comes a second. Because first we think what should we do, and then only we think how to do it, right? So strategy comes on the first place and planning comes on the second place. So now we have two types of planning, especially when it comes to operational planning. So aggregate planning and distribution requirement planning. Now, even though somewhere, no, in the course, no, you or in the material, PPT material, you may see like terms like production or no, but you can substitute that word with any type of operations, organizational operation. It could be no like developing a software, or it could be no like transporting consignment goods, or it could be an export import like function, or it could be documentation, whatever your company does, no. So your company, if you're a working professional, your company will have a core operation, right? So some kind of core operation, right? You can substitute that, no, with this thing. So aggregate planning, it is an operational activity that does an aggregate plan for the production process, or any process for that matter, in advance of 6 to 18 months, to give an idea to management as to what quantity of materials, otherwise what quantity of input and other resources ought to be procured, and when, so that the total cost of the operations of the organization is kept to the minimum over that period. So the time period here is planning for 6 to 18 months. When it comes to distribution requirement planning, so this is a systematic process to make the delivery of goods more efficient by determining which goods in what quantities and at what location are required to meet anticipated demand. The goal is to minimize shortages and reduce the cost of ordering, transporting, and holding the goods. So it's all about like the day-to-day distribution requirement planning. But this is aggregate planning is about some aggregate period of time. That is like a minimum of 6 months to maximum of 18 months. So that's the difference. Now let's see the type of strategies. So level strategy is when a company produces the same number of items or the same quality of service, continuously, like over a period of time. So there is no change in that. There is no going down or there is no going up. Okay, the same kind of service, like it keeps on, giving to its customers. Say governmental organizations, best example. Same kind of service, right? There is no, a sudden improvement happening, or there is no some no like downtime happening. So whatever is happening in the external world, or whatever happening no on the political side or on the no like environmental side, the governmental no like services no it's one and the same, right? It's same no throughout the timeline. So the company continuously produces goods equal to the average demand for the goods. Next is the chase strategy. So it is not like matching the demand strategy. So according to the demand in the market, or according to the demand from the customer, the company produces accordingly to equal the demand, to match the demand. So chasing the market, okay, to stay in the market forever, you chase the market. So whatever the market is demanding, you're ready to give. One day it asks for 50, you're ready to give 50. The next day it asks for no 75, you're ready to give 75. The next day it asks for only 40, you're giving only 40. So that's a change strategy. Then is the hybrid strategy, which is no like a combination of both the strategies. So according to the market demand, or according to the type of the demand, in the sense it could be cyclical demand, or it could be seasonal demand, or it could be a trend. So according to the type of the demand, the company can either follow the level strategy or the chase strategy. So hybrid strategies are the strategies which enable to associate low cost production and differentiation in the products. So there is a differentiation between no like one product and the other product within the same brand. At the same time, there is a differentiation between the company's product and the competitor's product. So there is something to be told as different. That's the differentiation happening with the use of hybrid strategy. Now let's see, what are all the operational techniques, okay, the companies use, especially when it comes to production units, manufacturing units, or warehousing units, wherever no the inventory is being handled, the physical inventory is being handled. So these techniques, no, or these strategies, or no used by the companies. Now, a company cannot, may not know, have all these techniques together. All these, cannot be followed by a company. But there are organizations, which follows, or no, which takes more than 3 or 4 techniques, which is listed here. For example, say automobile manufacturing company, say Toyota. I have seen, no, like Toyota's Chennai, their plant in Chennai, okay, their automobile plant in Chennai. So where the assembly line, no, is happening. So I have seen the, no, this JIT technique there. JIT technique in the sense the suppliers for this Toyota production unit, no, which is very, very closer to Chennai, the suppliers, they supply the required components, no, for that particular day's production, just before the production starts. That is the JIT technique, right? So at the same time, within the campus, that is the within the premise, the Toyota production, no, like they follow this Kanban, they follow Kaizen, and they follow lean principles. They follow lean operations, thereby reducing the waste. And they do follow Muri, all these concepts, they were following. So they were following multiple techniques over there, so that the operations, the overall operations were happening. It was happening very efficiently, effectively. There was no downtime. There was no mission shutdown time. Um, what do you say? No, like there was no wastage of materials, wastage of labor, wastage of time. It was not happening at all. Everything was running very smooth. And few companies can will follow any one of these techniques because of the type of product lines they have. So let us see one by one. We still have time, right? Yeah, we still have 5 to 7 more minutes. So I'll just start with JIT. So you know very well what is JIT. A few of you may be working in production company or like a manufacturing unit or a warehousing unit, in where you're right now. And maybe your company may be following, like a JIT technique. So it's all about, the company which likes to follow the JIT technique. They ask their suppliers or the vendors, to supply the required components to the premise just before the process starts. So that is the JIT technique. So in this case, the company, the organization has to make sure that the suppliers are located close to the plant to avoid any transportational discrepancy. Okay, because imagine, no, if the suppliers know they are located far from the factory location, it is difficult for them to supply it on a daily basis, no, or right before the production or the process starts. Sometimes, no, like because of traffic or because of, like bad weather condition or because of accident, no, the supplier may not be able to supply the required components, no, to the factory location, which disrupts the overall production plan, right? So to avoid that, to avoid those discrepancies, supply discrepancies, so it is better for an organization to select, no, those suppliers who are located very close to the factory plant. So it is an inventory strategy companies employ to increase the efficiency and decrease waste by receiving goods only as they are needed in the production process, thereby reducing inventory cost. So in this case, obviously, there is no need for storage, right? Other than the buffer stock or buffer inventory, the company don't have to know, like maintain a huge volume of inventory, thereby they can cut down the cost in maintaining a warehouse, because maintaining a warehouse is not an easy thing for any company. So space has to be allocated. You have to allocate manpower to take care of the warehousing processes, and now like you have to take care of the materials which you have stored in your warehouse. So many things are there. You have to spend money on that, and thereby, so it increases the overall cost. So just by avoiding the concept of storage, concept of warehousing, the company can save, like a lot of money. Company can save lot of resources, and thereby investing those that money and resources in other important processes. So this method requires that producers are able to accurately forecast the demand, and technology plays a very important role in JIT. And information systems such as ERP is required to implement JIT in any organization. So ERP, you might have heard about it, Enterprise Resource Planning. So it's a software, it's an application software where the company, through which the company can overall manages, like its overall operations, manages the overall resources of the company, right? So everything is a resource, right? Manpower is a resource, material is a resource, machine is a resource, the land, the assets of the company, the money, like money involved in the business. So that is a resource. The skill set of the manpower, so that is a resource, and technology is a resource, and the different departments, in the organization. So everything, every operation, every activity, every function, every communication, so that's a resource for the company. So managing these overall resources, it becomes easier, if the organization has ERP technology, integrated to its operations. So this is just in time. And one more thing you have to remember in just in time is the proximity of the suppliers, should be located nearly. And since the company plans, no, like for the number of units to be supplied in their location on a daily basis, they have to be very sure, very accurate about the overall volume they are planning to produce or procure over a period of time. Say, for example, the company has accurately predicted that um, maybe like in for the upcoming occasion, say what is coming. Okay, Onam is coming, right? So Onam celebration is coming. So for the upcoming Onam celebration occasion, so the company is planning to know say produce say 1,000 or no like 5,000 units of a particular product, right? So if 5,000 is the target, okay, they're planning to launch in the market for the upcoming Onam. So the 5,000, it cannot be produced on the same time or on the same day, right? So on a daily basis, no. So how much time we have left out? Because by the time the company should be able to produce a product, market the product, and launch the product in the market, so that people start buying it even before the Onam starts, right? So accordingly, it should be planned. So the company should do the forecast, no, like to an accurate level. They can, no, like follow the quantity forecasting technique. So that, no, like accurate results, no, the company can get. So by following the quantity forecasting technique, the company is able to have the accurate results, no, forecasting results in hand, and accordingly they can plan the JIT thing on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, whatsoever. Okay, so this is all about JIT. So this, whatever has been listed here, no, most of this, no, like it was, you know, like uh, given by Toyota production system. Okay, so engineers, no, who worked in Japan's Toyota production unit during 1960s, no, so they have come up with, no, like all these techniques to know like to run the operations, no, like effectively, efficiently, to know like maximum utilize the resources, to know like and to minimize the waste, to know like minimize the downtime, and to know like distribute the products and the services, no, to their customers as soon as possible. Okay, so early delivery, no, like or no, like early shipment, so everything. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. The rest of the techniques we will see it in, no, like in another session, maybe next week. So I'll be here for another 2 minutes. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.
संडे को जाना
No doubts? Okay. So in that case, we can wind up here. Thank you for participating. So I'll meet you in another session. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.